What happens when a National Football League franchise bets its absolute, literal survival on the complete and total unknown? Think about that for a second. In a league where even a split second of hesitation is brutally punished and where tiny miscalculations cost people their livelihoods, the Indianapolis Colts are playing what might be the ultimate high-stakes guessing game we have seen in modern football history. Welcome to this NFL Nexus Explainer. I'm going to be breaking down exactly what is happening in Indianapolis right now and why this unprecedented strategy is sending absolute shockwaves through front offices across the league. Before we dive into the madness, do me a favor. Make sure you hit subscribe, like this explainer, and comment down below if you honestly think the Colts front office is going to survive this make-or-break season. Because right now, looking at the reality of their roster, they are walking a razor-thin tightrope, 100 feet in the air, and they have completely removed the safety net. Section 1. The tipping point. A regime on the brink. Okay, let's just get right into this because we need to establish the reality of the situation in Indy. The current Colts front office is completely, utterly out of time. There is no more grace period. There is no more looking to the future or giving speeches about trusting the process. The clock has run out. To try and save this drowning regime, they're attempting a roster construction experiment that is so wild it's almost unheard of in its extremity. They are relying on a massive, unprecedented influx of NIL-era rookies. Now, remember what that means. Because of name, image, and likeness money, these guys stayed in college longer. They are entering the league older. And the Colts are taking these guys and forcing them to immediately sync up with hardened, double-digit-year NFL veterans. It is an incredibly fragile ecosystem. You are literally asking completely untested rookies to execute flawlessly alongside guys who have been in the trenches for a decade, with the jobs of the entire coaching staff hanging in the balance. Section 2. The Kenny Moore Void. Removing the Pillar. So this offseason, Indianapolis made what I can only describe as a shocking decision. They released the absolute soul of their defense, 30-year-old slot cornerback Kenny Moore II. And why? Simply because he didn't perfectly fit into defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo's system. Now, I want you to really grasp what they threw away here. Since 2017, Moore delivered 649 tackles and 21 interceptions. He was a tackling machine. He put the clamps on wide receivers, he fought tight ends in the run game, he did it all. He was the anchor. And who exactly is stepping into those massive, irreplaceable shoes? A guy named Justin Walley. Let's talk about Justin Walley for a second. This is a player with exactly 0 NFL regular season snaps. 0. And it's not just that he's inexperienced. He is fresh off a devastating, catastrophic rookie year ACL tear. An injury that completely robs a defensive back of the explosive, lateral cutting ability they need to survive in the slot. That is who is replacing a franchise legend. And you really have to look at the context of this defensive backfield. Anarumo's secondary features some genuinely elite shutdown names. We're talking about Sauce Gardner, Charvarius Ward Sr., Cam Bynum. These are superstars. Now, I want you to imagine you are an elite opposing quarterback. You're Patrick Mahomes, you're Joe Burrow. You break the huddle, you walk up to the line of scrimmage, and you start scanning that field. You see Sauce Gardner. Okay, avoid him. You see Ward. All right, look elsewhere. And then your eyes lock onto Justin Walley, a guy who has never played a real NFL snap, coming off a blown-out knee. The sheer absurdity of putting that kind of immense suffocating pressure on an untested recovering player during a win-now, jobs-on-the-line season, it's staggering. It's almost like the Colts are actively begging opposing offensive coordinators to attack him. Section 3. The Rookie Defensive Revolution. Blood in the Water. 53. Just let that number sink in. 53 is the exact draft slot of C.J. Allen, 53rd overall in the second round. A great prospect, sure, but right now, today, this rookie is already Lou Anarumo's green dot Mike linebacker. For anyone who might not know, wearing the green dot on your helmet means you are the absolute brain of the defense. You have the radio in your ear, you receive the incredibly complex play calls from the sideline, you communicate them to the rest of the defense, you make the pre-snap checks, you align the defensive front, you call out the offensive motions. The Colts are legitimately trusting a rookie to mentally outduel veteran MVP-caliber quarterbacks. The only comfort this coaching staff apparently has is that Allen is showing up to the facility before dawn every single morning for practice, desperately, frantically trying to learn the impossibly fast speed of the professional game before week 1. And you have to listen closely to what Lou Anarumo actually said to the media during spring camp. Quote, "He's in here every day super early. I laugh because it's always a work in progress with the young guys, but he's done a good job." End quote. He laughs. But let's be totally real here for a second. That is the nervous, uncomfortable laughter of a man whose own job security, His mortgage, his entire professional future, is inextricably tethered to a 22-year-old's learning curve. Think about the stakes. If C.J. Allen misreads one single pre-snap motion, if he misses one crucial check at the line of scrimmage when a running back shifts out wide, that's not just a bad play. At the NFL level, that's a blown assignment that turns into a 60-yard touchdown. And this rookie revolution, it just keeps going. It's not just C.J. Allen. Take A.J. Halsey, for example. He was drafted 78th overall, mid-round guy. Yet he is already heavily penciled in as the starting strong safety. The coaching staff is raving about his unexpected, quote-unquote, veteran savviness and how he's exceeding all expectations. And then there is Bryce Botcher. He was a fourth-round pick. But here is the crucial, fascinating detail about Botcher. Because of that extended NIL college era we talked about earlier, he's a 24-year-old rookie. He's a grown man, and he's making waves immediately. Just look at the 3-day veteran minicamp. Botcher stepped up and actually jumped a route, taking a Riley Leonard pass straight to the house for a pick six. These guys are not just developmental depth pieces being groomed for the future. They are being treated as foundational pillars. They are pouring the concrete while the building is already 3 stories high. Seriously, do not blink, because the situation on this defense is escalating so rapidly. Bryce Botcher isn't just here to cover punts and play special teams. This hungry 24-year-old rookie is actively, aggressively hunting down veteran Akeem Davis-Gaither for the starting will linebacker job. That's the weak side linebacker, the enforcer, the guy who has to cover ground and make plays in space. Now, Davis-Gaither has the distinct advantage of familiarity. He knows Anarumo's system inside and out. But Botcher is relentlessly splitting the first-team reps with him in practice. The underlying message from the general manager and the head coach is absolutely crystal clear to everyone in that locker room. Pedigree means nothing. Your past experience means nothing. Survival and making plays right now is the only metric they care about. Section 4, the wide receiver gamble, the offensive vacuum. So we've established that the defense is a terrifying, high-wire act relying on rookies and guys coming off knee reconstructions. But let's shift gears and look at the other side of the ball. Because the offense is staring down a void that is completely, 100% self-inflicted. Let's just walk through this unbelievable timeline of disaster together. Back in March, the Colts willingly, intentionally, traded away their undisputed alpha receiver, Michael Pittman Jr. Gone. To try and compensate for losing their 100-catch guy, they panicked and offered deep threat specialist Alec Pierce a massive 4-year contract extension. Right? Problem solved. Except the ink on that contract barely dried before Pierce had to undergo major off-season ankle surgery. He's out. So where does that leave this offense today? Well, you have your reliable slot receiver, Josh Downs, and outside of him, you have a massive, glaring, neon-lit hole on the outside. Every single proven weapon has been systematically stripped away. 51%. I need you to understand what this number represents. 51% is the absolute minimum special teams snap share that Ashton Dulin has played in every single one of his 5 active seasons in the NFL. Let me translate that. He is a special teams grinder. He is a core teamer. He is the guy who makes his living running down on kickoffs. And yet, right now, in a season where the head coach and the general manager absolutely must win games to keep from getting fired, Ashton Dulin is somehow the legitimate frontrunner to be the starting outside wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. We really need to unpack this. The crucial point here is fully understanding exactly who the Colts are putting their faith in to run routes against premier NFL cornerbacks. Ashton Dulin was an undrafted free agent back in 2019. He came from a tiny Division II school called Malone University, a football program that, by the way, literally does not even exist anymore. They shut the program down. Yes, you heard that right. Now, to be fair to him, Dulin is an incredibly elite special teams weapon. He was a 2021 All-Pro gunner. His entire job is sprinting downfield at full speed, absorbing blocks, and blowing up punt returners. He even has a staggering 32.3-yard kick return average. But as a pure wide receiver, playing on offensive downs, in 82 career games stretching across half a decade, Ashton Dulin has caught exactly 40 passes. 40. Total. This is the man head coach Shane Steichen is reportedly trusting to beat press coverage on a critical 3rd and 7. And look, if it somehow doesn't end up being Dulin, just look at the other internal options they have sitting in that wide receiver room. You've got Nick Westbrook-Ikine, a guy who managed a grand total of 11 catches for the Miami Dolphins all of last year. Or even worse, you have Laquan Treadwell, a 31-year-old journeyman draft bust who caught exactly 1 pass in the entire 2023 season. That is the fierce internal competition happening in Indianapolis right now. 1 catch. Now I want you to contrast that depressing reality with the literal superstars who are still sitting completely untouched in the free agency pool. Stephon Diggs,
Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill. Game-changing, offense-altering, legendary titans of the sport are sitting at home waiting for a phone call. And the Colts? The Colts are staring at Laquan Treadwell and Ashton Dulin, hoping for a miracle.
Section 5. The ultimate franchise bet. Money left on the table. Let's just zoom out to the macro level for a minute to really grasp the insanity of this situation. You have a regime that is fighting for its absolute life in this league. You have a defensive secondary relying on entirely untested rookies and a cornerback coming off a devastating ACL tear. You have an offense utterly devoid of any proven outside receiving weapons. So the burning question on everyone's mind becomes, why? Why are they doing this? Well, look at this number, $31,670,000. That is the exact amount of usable salary cap space the Indianapolis Colts currently have just sitting in the bank. It is the 7th most cap space in the entire National Football League. They have the money, they have the resources, they have the incredibly urgent need to win immediately. And yet, they are stubbornly, aggressively refusing to spend a single dime of it on proven talent. It is quite literally the equivalent of sending your soldiers out onto the battlefield holding wooden swords, while you have a vault full of cash sitting right behind you.
So we have to ask, will this massive, unprecedented, frankly arrogant gamble actually pay off? Is it possible that these NIL-era rookies will step onto an NFL field and become instant game-changing stars? Will a guy like Ashton Dulin magically transform from a special teams gunner into legitimate WR1 capable of carrying an offense? Or will this stubborn, inexplicable refusal to acquire proven veteran talent end up costing this regime absolutely everything they've built? Right now, the silence coming from the front office is absolutely deafening, and the tension hanging over the city of Indianapolis is thick enough to cut with a knife. Look, this is exactly the kind of deep, unfiltered, hyper-detailed analysis we bring you every single time a major story drops. If you want to survive the absolute insanity of this upcoming NFL season, you need to be part of this community. Support NFL Nexus. Become a channel member today for access to all our exclusive content, our behind-the-scenes deep dives, and make absolutely sure you are subscribed so you never, ever miss an explainer. We're going to be tracking this Colts situation every step of the way. Until next time, keep your eyes on the turf.